On, guys? It is your boys, Dialante Daniels and Ed Oliver, back at you guys with another Locked On Wizards podcast episode. For today's show, we got some mailbag questions lined up from you guys, talking about Kristaps Porzingis and when is he going to play, possibly how far the Wizards can go if they make the playoffs, some lineups, and let's talk about KCP a little bit. So, without further ado, let's get right into the episode.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is going on, guys? It is your host, Dialante Daniels and Ed Oliver, back at you guys with another Locked On Wizards podcast episode. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. I also want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen each and every day. We are free and available on all platforms. So, Ed, let's get right into our mailbag. What is our first question?
All right. Thank you guys for putting your questions in. This is from Benz on Twitter, BENZ. His username is AD_2083, so 2083. He said, what should the starting lineup be the rest of the year? Assuming we shut down Kristaps Porzingis down, I would like to see the youngins develop and rock out. So I'd like to see point guard Cassius Winston, shooting guard Corey Kispert, small forward Rui Hachimura, power forward Kuz, and center Gafford.
I think that lineup is cool. Definitely features the young guys. I don't know if Cassius, I would start him regardless. I probably still would have Raul Neto out there at the one. Definitely interested in seeing Rui start with Kuz because we've seen them play together. I would be interested in seeing that lineup starting. Daniel Gafford, you didn't put Thomas Bryant in there, who's the current starter, who's technically a younger guy too. But I don't blame you because Daniel Gafford's the one who signed to the contract, and Thomas Bryant is the free agent after the season, even though he could always come back. I like it. I like it. I think it would showcase a lot of what the Wizards have young-wise and let them develop. Interesting. I just looked at it as well. There's no Denny in the lineup. I just noticed that. So, and that makes it tough because I just like Denny and Rui. That's why Rui has to be on the bench because Kisper's at the 2. So I probably would have Rui still on the bench. I probably would just go with Neto, Kispert, Denny, Kuz, and Gafford, and then bring Rui off the bench. Yeah, that's tough though. That's really tough because I would love for all of those guys to start. I really would. But I think Denny's been doing good off of I think Denny's been doing good off the bench, but I think Rui's been doing good off the bench. I would start out with Denny starting though in my lineup. So Neto, Kispert, Denny, Rui. I mean not Rui, Kuz, and Gafford.
Yeah, it is tough. I would have Kuz start because even from the beginning of the year when we had everybody, we had all the Lakers guys, we had Trez and Dinwiddie. My starting five that I really wanted to see before we knew Rui was going to be out for X amount of games that he was out. I wanted it to be Dinwiddie, Brad, Rui, and Kuz, and then Gaff. That was the starting five that I wanted to start out with. So I still feel the same way. I want Rui and Kuz to play together because they're both 6'9", 6'10". They're both pretty athletic and have long wingspan, so they can defend really well. Denny's been coming off the bench and playing really well, like you said. Rui's been playing pretty well off the bench too. Gaff has to start because you paid him the extension. Thomas Bryant's on an expiring deal, so you just got to see what Gafford can do. You got to let him play through his mistakes too. And let him play through the fouling, whatever mistakes he makes, you just got to let him play. As far as Cassius Winston, I mean, yeah, if you shut down KP, Porzingis, then basically you are developing the young guys like Benz is saying. I don't see Cassius Winston starting, especially at the way Ish Smith has played. Ish did play well. He's been playing pretty well since he came. But if you're all for developing, then sure, go ahead and let Cassius start. Kispert starting, I'm fine with that too. He actually has started.
Mm,
There's been a lot of games when Brad was out that Corey Kispert has started. But yeah, off the bench, it would be Anthony Gill. KCP would be the guy moved to the bench who has been starting for the majority of the year. So that's the change in the lineup.
mm.
And then Neto he wouldn't start. He's been the starting point guard for ever since the trade has happened. So yeah, my starting five would probably be if you really are about developing, then sure, okay, go ahead, put Cassius in there. Corey Kispert, let him start. Rui start. Kuz and Gaff. I guess, yeah, I agree with Benz. If you're really about developing and just letting the guys play, you don't care about winning, then sure. But if you really care about winning, then you probably let Ish start. Rui, Kuz, Gaff, and I would still have Corey Kispert over KCP, even if you are trying to win.
Yeah, I think I would start off with Rui on the bench because of Kuz. I'm starting Kuz 100%, and then
Mhm.
Denny, I would just put Denny at that 3 spot and go from there. I think it's crazy how at the beginning of the season we just automatically assumed that when Rui came back that he was going to take over the starting spot for Kuzma, but I mean now we're at a point where Kuzma's 100% guaranteed to be the starter at that 4th position.
Mhm.
So it's interesting how that turned out from the beginning of the season till now.
Definitely, yeah. Kuz is playing his butt off, man. He's averaging 16 points a game. I just pulled up. He's averaging a good amount of rebounds too. He's averaging. I want to say he's averaging a career high in rebounds too. I just had his numbers up. Yeah, he's averaging 16 points a game, 8.8 rebounds a game. He's almost averaging a double double. That's ridiculous. Like that's one thing I did not think he would do is average that many rebounds, and his assist numbers aren't bad either. He's averaging 3 assists a game. But yeah, like I said, with that big man spot, Thomas Bryant would come off the bench as well. He wouldn't get that much playing time. But yeah, Kuz just has to start, whether you're developing or not, because Kuz not only is he's playing well, but as you saw in the Nets game, he was high fiving Corey Kispert. We heard him mic'd up against the Bucks. He's encouraging the young guys. He's been a positive locker room guy, which the locker room has been toxic, but throughout the whole way, we haven't heard anything negative from Kyle Kuzma. So he's good for winning. He's not only good for winning, but he's been good for developing. He doesn't get in the way of the young guys too, because I know a lot of people who watch the channel and comment, they always talk about the older guys getting in the way of the development of the younger guys, and people complaining. Kuz can play with the young guys, and he makes them better. So, and Rui and there's like numbers about Rui, Kuz, and Denny playing together. I don't have the stat in front of me. It's like a plus minus, but their plus minus together is like really really good. So, yeah, and you can mix it up too. I mean, Wes Unseld Jr. He doesn't really mix his lineups up, but if they want to mix it up one day and just try things out, and if he's really like Ben's saying trying to develop guys, then hey, I guess throw in Isaiah Todd maybe like the last 5 games in a year, just see what he can do.
Yeah, I mean, if you're all about development and like seriously, then
Mm-hmm.
let the young guys play, man. But before we get to our next question, we do have a message from our friends over at Built Bar. This is the time of year that I've pretty much given up on all of my New Year's resolutions, but not this year. I'm sticking to my resolution to eat right thanks to Built Bar. It almost feels like it's not really a resolution because I actually enjoy eating them. Have you tried the Puffs? If you haven't, you're missing out on one of Built Bar's best tasting bars. Puffs are the first ever protein infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar, they're a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Puffs are a fan favorite with some incredible flavors: yummy cinnamony churro, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. So good. These are going to be your new favorite. All Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. Yes, Puffs included. 100% real chocolate, low calorie, high protein. Replace your candy bars with these. They are better. A typical candy bar can be anywhere from 2 to 300 calories. Go to build.com and scroll down to the macros chart. You'll be blown away. High protein, low calorie, high fiber, low carb. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, which usually has around 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. Mint brownie, coconut almond, and the new for this month, white chocolate cookies and cream. They are all delicious, and new flavors are coming out all the time. If they think a flavor might be good, they'll make it. It will be delicious, and it will be good for you. The offer is to go to built.com, Use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Once again, guys, I want to thank you all for making Locked On Wizards your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast, nightly recaps of every NBA game with analysis from our local experts. It's free and available wherever you get podcasts. So, Ed, what is our next question?
Oh yeah, one last thing about lineups too. It's not about who starts; it's about who finishes. Denny, the last 3 games, he's averaging 13 points a game, 10 boards a game, and 2.5 assists and 1 steal. So you look at his minutes. Ever since the trade, he got 31 minutes against Detroit, 32 minutes against the Pacers, 31 minutes against Brooklyn, and 28 minutes against Sacramento. He's gotten double digits in each game. So it's really about who finishes rather than who starts, of course. But as long as Denny gets 30 minutes a game, I think that's all that really, really matters.
Mm-hmm.
But our next question is about Porzingis. The unknown ism on YouTube said, when is Porzingis going to play, or do we sit him out for the foreseeable future and or tank for a potentially better draft pick?
Well, they say he's going to be back after the All-Star break. I still would use him not too heavily because you don't want him to get hurt, because we all know his health history and injury history. So in the season that's, turning into developing guys and, still trying to get to that play-in spot if that occurs, because they're right in the thick of that. I wouldn't push him too hard, make sure you take care of him, because next season is when you really want to try to go in. Personally, I'm all for trying to get the best draft pick, etc. But if you're winning games like how the Wizards won against the Nets, where a lot of the younger guys made big impacts, then I'm all for that as well, because that's development right there. As far as KP, I wouldn't push him too hard. Obviously play him. I don't know about back-to-backs, so we'll see.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be on a minutes restriction. I think what Dallas was doing with him was somewhat of a minute restriction. They try to keep him at 30 minutes or below. Not sure about how they handle the back-to-backs, load management. He's got a bone bruise right now. He's towards ACL a couple of years ago, had multiple lower body injuries. So it's tough with him. And there's a reason why they traded him. I think they traded him because of the injury history. Your best ability is your availability. So that's probably why they were so willing to, trade him and a second-round pick for, guys who are on not great contracts, for Bertans, who's on getting paid $15-16 million per year, who just, he shot 1 for 7 the other day. But he had a good day, then shot 1 for 7 the next day. But yeah, Porzingis, I don't think they're going to shut him down. Like you said, D. We already heard the reports that West said he's going to play. We played the Spurs then the first game, which is Saturday night. I want to say it was either Friday or Saturday. And there's a possibility that he'll play. That's what Wes Unseld said. We're not 100% on that. But as far as tanking for a potentially better draft pick, we talked on here a couple of days ago too, when we had Troy Halliburton on, called the Tampa Tank, what the Raptors did. And we could do something similar to that. I'm not going to say let's tank, but I would say that better lottery odds and draft position would highly, highly benefit this team. And, if they do go like the Nets game, that was encouraging. That was fun to watch. So if these young guys go out there and win, I'm all for it. I'm not saying, hey, Rui, Kuz, and Denny and Kispert go out there and lose games. If they're going to play that hard and play that well as a team together, then sure, go ahead and win games. We all know if we get in the play-in or the playoffs, we'll probably get swept or a gentleman's sweep.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm not going to call it tanking. I would try to get better draft position, and let's see if we can get some of these top guys in the draft. It's a solid draft class. But once again, I see both sides. I see both sides of the answer.
Yeah, if I understand people wanting to fight, and they don't want to just lose. I 100% get that, but also get if you're used to the Wizards just being middle of the pack in literally like everything, and you want them to actually try to get a really good draft pick, because we've seen it help teams that are good right now in the past. So I definitely get both sides of the coin. I think you definitely, have to, as a front office, You have to either just 100% either have that mindset of you're going to compete or you're going to tank. And the Wizards typically have the mindset of we're going to try to compete and try to get in the play-in. So we'll see if that works out for them. It's tough. The Hornets are losing right now. They've been losing. The Hawks, they're right there as well. So it'll be tough to get that play-in spot.
Yeah, those are great points. I mean, and you can, we got in the 9th pick twice now. Rui was the 9th pick, Denny was the 9th pick, Corey Kispert was the 15th pick. So you get good players. I think those guys are good players. And, it's not always about the number you draft. Sometimes guys can, Tyrese Halliburton, he was the 15th or 16th, 17th pick. Tyrese Maxey was like the 20th pick. So, Giannis was like he was a late round pick. Kawhi was a late round pick. So there's always examples. Jokic was a second round pick. There's always examples about guys who are later picks. But for the Wizards, like you said, we've kind of been spinning our wheels on the treadmill, just kind of being in that same spot, basketball purgatory. We're getting good guys, but we're not getting top of the roster guys like the top lottery picks like a Ja Morant or even though Zion's being hurt, we just haven't gotten those blue chip top guys, Cade Cunningham's of the world, and guys coming in like Evan Mobley, who was the 3rd pick of the draft. He's coming in and just tore it up. Scotty Barnes was a top 5 pick. So, let's say if we do luck up and get a top 5 pick, we're able to get one of these top 5 guys like a Jaden Ivey, Chet Holmgren, or Jabari Smith. We just get lucky. And those guys can turn your franchise around where, like we said before, we're not a team that lands big name free agents. So you really have to build through the draft. You have to hit on your draft picks, especially paying Bradley Beal coming up next year, that big contract. There's not going to be a lot of cap space to really add a guy unless we do a sign and trade like we just did with Dinwiddie. So the best route would be to get something similar to a luck up and get like a Scotty Barnes or Evan Mobley that could come in year 1, play at a really, really good rookie level, and that could just push the team up to like a 4th or 5th or 6th seed. That would be the best case scenario for the Wizards rather than getting another 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th pick of the draft. And we end up with a good player, but not like a great player. So I think it would help out if we just, got more of a sure thing at the top 5 pick.
Yeah, I'm all for top 5. Top 5. I've just watched Jaden Ivey against the Rutgers, man.
Yeah,
oh, my goodness. He would be so lovely for this Wizards team, man. I would love it. I think
Jabari Smith had 27 points the other day.
Yeah.
Hit 7 threes in the game. 7.
Yeah. We can think like that. I think it's the right way of thinking. But Wizards front office refused to think like that for some odd reason. I understand fans who are like, "No, you win games." But man, I'm looking at next season. I want Jaden Ivey on my team that's trying to compete next season. I want Jabari Smith. This season, I know we're not going. Even if we make it to the playoffs, it's going to be similar to the 76ers game, gentleman's sweep, if not a sweep. I don't want that. I want a really good draft pick and for my team to get a really good player so we can do this thing next year. Because I know we're not doing nothing this year. I know we aren't.
Right. But yeah, Ted says we'll never, ever tank. But it's tough, too, because looking at the standings, too, I'm pulling up right now. These teams that are bad. Like Orlando, they're 13-47. Cole Anthony with the dunk contest. We'll probably end talking about the dunk contest. I know people are, up in arms about it. Probably don't care at all. But Detroit, they're 13-45. Houston's 15-43. OKC, they're 18-40. The Pacers are 20-40. Sacramento's 22-38. New Orleans is 23-36. San Antonio is 23-36. The Knicks are 25-43. The Blazers are 25-43, and we're 27-31. So even though we don't have a great record, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 11 teams that have worse records than us. So it would be very, very hard for us to even tank. Even if we did tank, we still probably would be like the 10th worst team. That's how bad these other teams are.
Yeah, you have to get lucky like the Pelicans did with Zion. You just have to get lucky and hope somebody don't go somewhere so you jump into the top 4 or whatnot. You have to hope for one of those.
Right. And we have the 27, easiest remaining schedule. So there's going to be other teams resting guys. Denny and Kuz and Rui are going to have good nights like they did against the Nets and Kispert. And we're probably gonna go 5. We're probably gonna win a good amount of games. Not enough to like make a run, but we'll probably win enough games to like put us like in that 10th, 12th, 13th spot.
Mm.
Yeah. But we got one more question from you guys, and then we'll probably recap the dunk contest, and we'll wrap it up. And then we have part 2 of the mailbag coming up tomorrow night, and then we're gonna have Nick from Locked On Mavs coming on just to give us some insight about Kristaps Porzingis. But before we do get to that, this episode is brought to you by Bet Online. Football might be over this season, but basketball is in full steam for both pro and college hoops. From all the latest odds, totals, player performance props to where the next fire coach is going to land, BetOnline.net is the #1 spot for all your sports betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for all of your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds, right to the Olympic coverage and information. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline where the game starts. All right, so our last question is about KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. This is from Bar Zaruk. And then the unknown Enzim, that was a good question about the tank and the Porzingis going to play. But this is Bar Zaruk on YouTube. His first name is B-A-R, and then his last name is spelled Z-A-R-U-K. He says, does KCP over dribbling and forcing shots ruin the beautiful ball-sharing game we see from the Wizards lately?
KCP dribbling is a topic we've spoken on before. I don't like KCP dribbling. When he dribbles a lot, bad things happen. That's not really his game. I would love for him to not dribble as much as he does, but it happens. That's just his role in the offense at times. I mean, I wouldn't say it ruins it because the team has still looked good since the trade deadline. They still look good, so I'm not going to say he's ruining everything. Because the ball's still moving. You know, everything's still happening. It's just moments where it's like, all right, KCP, please. Oh, no. It's some of those moments. But I wouldn't say it's ruining anything. No, the team is still playing energized and playing well together and moving the ball offensively still.
Yeah, I'm with you, too. I think he's actually played better or pretty well. He's shooting 38% from the three-point line, which is probably the best out of the guys who shoot more than like 2 threes per game. Rui's shooting 46% from the three-point line, which is really, really high. I mean, it's crazy. He's only shooting 2 threes per game, but it's still pretty good. But KCP, yeah, he can get a little out of control. He's had some bloopers where, he tried to dunk and the ball hit the backboard and he'll, fumble the ball and dribble it off his, have a turnover here and there. So yeah, it's just not his game. He's more of a 3-and-D guy. We just kind of want him to, cut to the basket, shoot threes, play defense, and do that pretty well. Sometimes he will shoot that pull-up 3. That's a little off, but it's been working. It worked for him in the Pacers game. It worked even though we lost. He brought us back. He was a huge part in the comeback against the Pacers. So I'll give him credit for that. He's helped us out in a couple big games. He has been clutch in some big games for us, but there's been opportunity. There's been some times where he has been out of control and has dribbled too much, taking the ball away from some of the young guys. Where he could just give it up to the young guy. He might get it back. Where before where at the time where everybody was feuding with each other, if you pass the ball to somebody, you might not get it back before the trade deadline. So it's not the case here. So maybe he could just calm down a little bit with that. But I've been fine with him. Honestly, I would put him on my lineup. I would have him come off the bench. I still think he would still get good minutes for me. If he came off the bench, he's getting 30 minutes per game. I would give him like 25 minutes per game. But I still think he's good for I don't think he hurts the guy's development. I don't think he takes away. He's not that kind of player, but he does need to know his role. You're not going to go out there playing like, Bradley Beal, taking guys off the dribble one-on-one. We just need you to set up, knock down threes. Kind of like the Trevor Ariza role. Spot up, shoot threes, play tough defense, pick somebody up from full court, get a couple of steals. He comes out of nowhere. He's really good with timing on his steals, so he does a good job of that. And just playing with energy. He had a nice block against the Pacers too. So yeah, I have no problem with KCP playing right now. Maybe I would have him come off the bench, and that's the only change I would have with KCP right now.
Yeah, only time I have issues with like KCP in the game is like if it's a late game and like unless he's hot, then I get it. But if he's not, and somebody like Rui's not in, but he could be in if KCP was on the bench, those are the only things I would say I have an issue with. Other than that, I think he's been all right. He's had his moments where we roll our eyes and it's like, bruh. But I think for the most part, he's been all right.
Definitely, yeah. So before we wrap up, any thoughts on the dunk contest?
Terrible. That was terrible. It was awful. I mean, no 50s. Like it was god awful. It was really bad. Like
Yeah.
I told you before we started, I know we all like Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordon, 2020. But even if you don't have that expectations, which you shouldn't, because like really great dunk contests like that come around here and there. This was still like terrible, regardless. Like it was. I'm about to say, bro, just hire some professional dunkers off TikTok or something and run them out there, because that was awful, man. It really was.
It was, yeah. Get Gerald Green out there. I know he's 40 years old. He's playing in the G League right now, but I'd rather see Gerald Green. Yeah, nobody's gonna talk what Aaron Gordon did jumping over the mascot Zach LaVine. That dunk contest was the best dunk
legendary.
contest. Cole Anthony, he tried with the Timbs, but it took him 2 years to get the dunk. I mean, Jalen Green, that was terrible. They showed a video of Shaq's face during the dunk contest. Yes. I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar left during the middle of the dunk contest, so people were going home and leaving during the dunk contest. So yeah, it was tough. I mean, Obi Toppin, the first dunk was probably the best dunk of the whole night, where he jumped up and did it behind his back and dunked it. So yeah, that was the only impressive dunk the whole time. So yeah, it's rough. I think the 3-point contest was better. The skills competition with the Giannis and his brothers.
Yeah, the Giannis, Cavs, and the Rooks. I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, they all can't shoot. So of course the Giannis team lost. But yeah, I'm gonna watch the All-Star game. The All-Star game is kind of like the Pro Bowl now, where it's just scoring. Like both of them are just rough to watch. It's just a whole bunch of scoring.
Yeah, like the odds, I believe, are like the over under is like 300, and let me check right now actually.
Yeah, for Bet Online, guys.
Yeah, Bet Online. The odds on Bet Online are 325 and a half. 325 and a half on Bet Online. Those are the odds right now. So, scoring pretty much. And actually, if you guys are interested, Team Durant is +6, so they're the underdogs in this game.
Right. Yeah, but we're gonna watch the All-Star game. We'll probably talk a little bit about it tomorrow, and then we're gonna finish up some of the mailbag questions we thank you guys for submitting. So we have about 5 more that we'll probably get to tomorrow or sometime during the week. Just want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On NBA. Locked On experts covering the biggest stories around the NBA every Monday through Friday in less than 30 minutes. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys subscribe to Locked On Wizards on YouTube. Hit the notification bell and subscribe wherever you can get a podcast. Hail to the Wizards. Peace.
Peace.